is the Sensitive CEO Show, igniting sensitive entrepreneurs to grow your heart-centered business. I'm your host, Rose Cox, and this podcast shares with you inspiring and thought-provoking conversations for sensitive entrepreneurs wanting to grow a sustainable online business in a way that feels exciting and aligned with your soul. Along with my carefully curated expert guests, we share science-backed advice, proven strategies, and the systems we use to succeed in our businesses and our lives as highly sensitives, introverts, and empaths. And by the way, if you would like to be updated on when each episode is released, feel free to subscribe to the short and sweet newsletter. You'll also get weekly recommendations and tips, especially for HSPs, empaths, and introverts. To subscribe, pop on over to the website sensitiveceo.show or rosecox.com/pod. Now on to today's show. Hey, it's Rose and welcome to another episode of the Sensitive CEO Show. And in today's episode, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce you to Sabijn Arts. Sabijn is a registered psychologist and intuition coach specialising in HSP. She's the creator of the From Head to Heart method, which is specifically for highly sensitive people. Welcome, Sabijn. It's wonderful to talk to you today.
Yes, lovely to connect with you, Rose. Thank you.
And I would love for you to introduce yourself. I know I did a very short intro, but I'd love for you to introduce yourself and let the audience know who you work with and a bit of your background, please.
Wonderful, yes. So my name is Sabijn Arts and I live in the Amsterdam area in the Netherlands. And I've been working as a psychologist since 2000. And from the start, working with highly sensitive people. First with kids and the parents, and later on in my journey with adults. And now I mainly work with HSP executives, leaders, entrepreneurs, very much on alignment. So bringing them back to who they really are and share from that. So really their innate intention for life, to reconnect them with that. And what I see in that journey, and that's also from that experience why I created the From Head to Heart program, because I saw that for a lot of HSP entrepreneurs and executives, it's they want to really live their potential, but because of their struggles with their sensitivity, they're kind of feeling stuck or not really living like they would like to live or doing what they would love to do, kind of feeling held back by insecurity or just the stress and demands of everyday life. And when they learn to really, get clear on, this is how my sensitivity works and this is what I need and this is the kind of lifestyle that I need, then it's much easier to step into the empowerment and the qualities of what you're here to do and to share. And then I always get goosebumps when people get into that zone. Yeah. So that's what I mostly love to do. And in that, it's all about also connecting, of course, with the heart space, with intuition. And
Wow.
So, and I do that in the coachings and also in workshops or trainings. So different forms, but in essence, the same concept or the same themes.
Right. And I know that one of your big thing is intuition and helping people with their intuition and developing it and discovering it. Can you share with listening today what would be the first steps to connect in with the intuition if it's something that they're new to?
Yeah, it's a nice question. I think it's really important, firstly, I think, to understand what exactly is intuition. When I work with people in the workshops, they're usually like, oh, is this intuition too? So just to get a kind of a clearer frame of what is intuitive perception. And I like the definition in the Oxford Dictionary, like, okay, it's the ability to understand something instinctively without the need for conscious reasoning. And of course, we use our minds in everyday life, we use reasoning, but your intuitive guidance is of a really direct, spontaneous, clear way of perceiving. So when you make that a little bit more practical, we use our senses, the sensory information, your intuition communicates via that. So you can use your visual channel or your feeling channel, your auditory channel, the inner knowing. So all the sensory entrances for perceiving, this is also how your intuition communicates with you. And to look at it via a bit of a broader concept like that, people think, oh, okay, I can perceive from this whole array of, from inside of my own being, but also the information that I perceive. So, for example, a thought could also be an intuitive impression, or something you see, or something you feel. And it's more about learning to differentiate between what is this, when is it intuition and when isn't it. So to get in tune with the energy vibration of it. Then I think what might be nice to share for highly sensitive people, it's really a big strength. And that is because our nervous system and our energy system are more attuned to subtleties.
Yeah.
And by that, it's easier for us to perceive the subtle vibration of intuition. Like intuition is really a high vibrational energy. So like our body is a lower vibration, we perceive it as solid. When you look at light, there are certain frequencies of light we can perceive, but we can't perceive infrared and not ultraviolet. And it's the same with intuition. It's a really high vibration. So to be able to perceive that, you have to be attuned to this more subtlety. And this is a quality of highly sensitive people. And we use it a lot. Like people say, okay, when I walk into a room and I notice the ambience, that's a clear intuitive impression. And I don't realize, oh, is this intuition? Okay. Yeah. So
and I guess we take that for granted too. It's just something that we as HSPs we've grown up with, we're used to it, and we just take for granted that it's normal.
So true. Yes, very true. I see this all the time. And also with the creatives who are a lot of times very visually oriented. They get these visuals all the time. Also for entrepreneurs, they have this idea or they see in their mind's eye where they want to go, and they're a real visionary. And they when they start out on their intuitive journey, they might not even realize, oh, this is my clear visual channel coming up again and again.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to reconnect with that and get to know yourself in that. And then it's much easier also to kind of start to recognize, this is my intuition at work here.
And you mentioned that it's getting in our heart space. Is it always our heart space where intuition comes from, or is it different for different people?
Yes, very different for different people. And so I always, when I help people connect with their intuition, it's all about find your way, learn to get to know yourself and learn to connect with how you perceive information. And so when you're very analytically oriented, it might be that you get these very clear ideas, for example. And for someone else, it might be in the gut. And for someone else, it might be I get only signals from my environment, like a conversation or something I hear or something I see in nature. So that's what's really nice to explore and to play with. Okay, how does my intuition communicate with me? And we have all been using it. And so what can help there is, for example, to look back at decisions you made in your life, decisions in which you felt like, okay, that was really such a great decision I made there. And also maybe a decision in hindsight in which you felt like, okay, this really didn't lead me in the right direction or made me unhappy or I lost energy there. And just see what led you to this decision, what kind of channels you used, or how this information or decision kicked in for you.
Mm.
And just take a moment to write down a few of those situations. And everybody who does that, without needing to decide firsthand, is this intuition or not? It's just about how do you make decisions.
Yeah.
And usually when you look back at like that, then you start to connect with, okay, and that was my intuition kicking in, and here I didn't listen. And so you start to realize, okay, this is a yes, this is a no, and where does that resonate in my body? Yeah.
And so I'm guessing when you practice this and when you really listen to those signs, that's how you get better and better as well, trusting yourself. Is that right?
Yes, that is very much right. I struggled a lot with that. And I think a lot of highly sensitive struggle with trusting themselves.
Yes. Yeah. That's a big thing for us, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 So I'd love you to share your journey if you're up for it, Sabine.
Yeah, of course. I think I always, as a child, even have been connected to guidance, like a kind of inner knowing, but not in a conscious way, of course, when I was young. And very sensitive to my environment, like an angry teacher or just, an ambience that was off. So when a teacher got angry with another child, I was the one at home just still feeling that anger and not feeling okay. It could just linger on and on. But also having this sense of adjusting myself and not really daring to assert myself. And especially in my young adulthood, I had a lot of struggles and just the journey of life to lose myself in situations and relationships, jobs.
Yeah.
And really, just really. And when I look back, my guidance was always there, but I just didn't trust it yet. I didn't trust my own feeling impressions, like, okay, this is what I feel and I can act on this. I'd never learned, like so many of us. And also maybe doubting your signals, because this is also what I see a lot for HSP, is that they, when growing up and they see something and they express it, and then the environment says, no, I'm okay. And then you start to doubt, okay, but I feel something totally different. And you start to doubt your own guidance. So, and because we're naturally attuned to our environment, it is in essence also a bit more difficult to really choose you, because we feel the consequences. So it takes a bit more time, and we can all learn that. But it's really like when you get into the habit of doing that, then everything shifts. But it was so. I think my main struggle then was so getting more confident, listening to myself, and also daring to choose me, and in that way also maybe disappoint others, disappointing a manager or disappointing a boyfriend, or
So
speaking
putting
up.
yourself first.
Exactly. That's a great summary.
Yeah, and I'm laughing because I've been on the exact same journey as you, and I wonder how many people listening.
I'd love to hear.
Well, it's the same. Like growing up, feeling other people should be put first, and it wasn't until I was probably in my mid-40s that I started thinking, oh, hang on, I can actually put myself first. And that was really foreign to me. And it felt really awkward, to be honest. And it took practice. But I'm quite good at it now. I've had many years. But it was so foreign. Isn't that funny? It's just I guess the way that we were brought up, or the way that society expected of us. It's fascinating.
Yeah. I think I really resonate with what you say, like also what is expected, and we're so sensitive to norms. So it usually takes quite some time and all the pain surrounding that. I think that is, this misalignment. I think that is what is part of my mission in life, is to really get people into that alignment again, because it's so painful to be out of misalignment.
Yeah.
So, and what you share is like, it's so uncomfortable at the start, like, okay, I'm, choosing me now. And then,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And I've heard this a lot of times, that the way that we talk to ourselves, we'd never talk to a friend or a superior or anyone the way we talk to ourselves. And we get away with so much what we say and how we treat ourselves. So putting ourselves first is, yeah, it is hard. It is like a muscle, building it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think I was already also tuning into what you
We're going to
wanted
ask.
to ask. Yeah. Is, this natural being aware of the environment, this natural openness and alertness that we have, also in the positive sense of experiencing beauty and experiencing joy and all the beautiful subtleties and aesthetics in life. But what we need to learn is to make it a habit to, during the day, bring our attention back into our own center, into your own body.
Yeah.
So that's a very simple thing that you can practice. Just during the day, check in with yourself and see, where is my attention at this present moment? And just see if you can just also, when you sit in a meeting or are with a friend, see if you can just sit a little bit backwards, even place a hand on your belly, just center back into yourself. And that can be a really easy step just to connect with what it is that you are experiencing.
Yeah, I love that. That's such good advice. Brilliant. So because this is a sensitive CEO show, I think a lot of the audience are HSP entrepreneurs. How would you suggest they use their intuition to help in their entrepreneurial journeys?
Yeah, I think when you are an entrepreneur, you are already using it, because it's not for nothing that you started your own business.
Yeah.
So trust that. So see and connect with, I always start with what's already there, because there's always a lot already there, and connect with that so you can gain confidence from that. You don't become an entrepreneur out of the blue. It takes courage. It takes a kind of idea of what you want to bring and where you want to go. And that is almost always connected with your guidance.
Yeah.
So I think for your audience to realize, to take a moment to be aware of, okay, how did I actually do that? And they will know then, okay, I'm already kind of applying that. So you can learn from your own experience in the way you've already been using it. And then I think two more other things. You've got the day-to-day decisions as an entrepreneur, and a kind of the bigger line, the bigger vision. And for the bigger vision, I really love to work and help people work with kind of the vision boards or an intuitive journey to connect with what wants to be born, what's the next step, but like for the next 6 months, next year, just to tune into a part from your reflection and creativity, connect with that deeper layer. And then visuals are a great way to kind of surpass conditioning and doubts or patternings, and really also kind of maybe let yourself be surprised by what comes up. So that's a great way for, like, when you're like, what's the next phase or the next coming period on what I want to address? You can use a method or like that. And there's plenty of examples out there on how you can do that. But when you want to make a vision board, really try to make it from intuition, like have a kind of a meditation beforehand, because otherwise people really get only onto the imagery, and the power of the energy is really different. So when they want to know more about that, they can always send me an email. But that's the power of the vision board, is really about the energy behind it, what sets it into motion. And then on a day-to-day basis, I think it's, how many hours do we have, Rose? I'll try to just highlight maybe 2 points here then. So I think the awareness of your own yes and no in decision making is really key. So, for example, you want to decide, is this a program I want to join, or is this someone I want to work with, or whom would I like to reach out to? Then it's really helpful to know, how do you respond when it's a no, when you decide, okay, I should not go there or should not do this, and when do you feel it's a yes? So also here you can look back at daily situations which light you up and which drain you, and just see, okay, what do I experience then? And for me, for example, it's like when it's a no, I get really drained, and or sometimes when I want something, and then when I get a really kind of a nervous, something is off feeling in my belly, I know I need to listen. Like, and something then it's like something I wish to happen, but it's not right. And those are the most difficult for me to listen to. And then you have got your yeses, like, okay, for me, that's, really like this light bulb, light feeling, really like cheery. Yeah, this feels right, or very peaceful. But I'm really like a feeling being. And for someone else, it might be really different. Like this imagery of yes or no, or a knowing, a more neutral knowing. So to get to know your own language there, that really helps in making decisions. And then the second point is the flow and resistance. Like, are you really forcing things to happen? When you're really, using your willpower and wanting to make things happen in your business and it's not happening. So there needs to be kind of this ebb and flow of your own action and receiving. And usually when you're connected to your intention and connected with your intuition, there is this flow going on. So for example, I share my program with you, and I just trust that it was a heartfelt sharing and it was not a sales sharing with you.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is someone I like to connect with, and I'd like to broaden my international connection with colleagues in the field. And I trust that when it resonates, something will come back to me.
Yeah.
And I kind of already knew that would happen, but that's my inner knowing. That's not even important for now. But when you're an entrepreneur, you can trust that when it's really in this pure alignment, then it's not possible that something will not come back to you. It's only when you're out of alignment. So you can, when you're kind of wanting to make things happen and it's not happening, it's not necessarily because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's not like your mission is off, but it might be that the way you are addressing it, it needs a different form or a different direction. And you need to be honest with yourself. Like, am I connecting with what works for me, or am I pushing myself? And I think that's the case for a lot of HSP entrepreneurs too.
Yeah.
Like they think they need to do it in a certain way, and then it's not flowing and they get burned out. And then when they bring their attention back to themselves and listen to, okay, what actually is working for me? And I made these mistakes. I experienced everything I'm sharing now. And so to get this alignment is, so when it's out of flow, just check in with yourself and see where you're forcing and what it is that truly resonates with you, and see where it directs you then. And then you will notice that when you act, and then the right people will show up. Or you read something, you say, yes, this course, this is what I'm looking for. Yeah. So
I love that. That everything you said, Sabijn, just resonates so much. I know when I've done things before, which I like how you pulled yourself up when you said mistakes, because it's not mistakes, it's a learning thing. And it's learning from things that don't work. And I did things like that in the past, and I often felt really tight in my throat, in my chest area, but I pushed through because I thought there was something wrong with me. So I pushed through, and it wasn't until I realized, no, I'm actually swimming upstream. I'm not doing what gives me joy, that makes me feel good, that really resonates. And once I realized that and started going with the flow and doing what really gave me joy, everything just fell into place. Everything just felt right. And I think everything that I put out there and create now feels good because it's coming from my heart. It's not, I'm not pushing it. I'm not doing it the way that someone else has taught me to, because it might work for someone else, but it doesn't, not everything works for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And you can feel that, right? I can feel that in the way you share. I just feel that you're sharing and you trust that whomever connects with that will show up and I think that's is a way that very much aligns with highly sensitive people. And just their innate sense of empathy and integrity and just this really pure vibration. And we so need that in the world.
We do. And I'm just so glad that there's so many of us out there. I didn't know this, that there were so many highly sensitive entrepreneurs and coaches and mentors and therapists. I just think it's amazing. And it's being surrounded by like-minded people that just makes life so much easier and more fun.
Yeah, so true. And I think also when you talk about connecting with your intuition, it's so important to connect with like-minded people. I had a chat yesterday with a dear friend, and we just, we talked about that sometimes it can also be lonely on a really deep level because we perceive on so many layers throughout the day, but also, in connection to the bigger field. So it's so important to be able to share about that and to connect on that level with others. And that can also very much help you understand yourself and your intuition, also to inspire and support each other.
Yeah.
I think, I really believe that, the HSP and also empath entrepreneurs and executives, we have a really important part, I think, in this period of time to bring this different way of being into the world and this integration of kind of the values that we find important, and that mostly they're all heart-based values. Yeah, there is profit, but always connected to purpose. And that imbalance in the world, in all kinds of levels, in the environment, in relationships, in politics, in economics. And we are really wired in a natural way to kind of show a way forward. So I'm really excited that there's more people claiming that and stepping into that.
Yeah, it's a wonderful time, isn't it? It really is. Well,
yeah,
we are coming up for time. And before we wrap up, Sabijn, I have one more question I would love to ask you that I ask all of my guests. When you feel overwhelmed or unfocused, what do you do?
So, yeah, that's a great question. So, in case, when I'm severely overwhelmed, this happens to me too, right? Even, after having a lot of experience, when I'm severely overwhelmed, I love a great massage that really brings me back into myself, or just being in bed with Netflix and the curtains closed.
Oh, I love both of those.
That's at the end of the continuum, and at the start it's just like my daily. I kind of try to incorporate these moments during the day so I prevent overwhelm. So that's connecting with my own intuition in the morning, being in nature a lot, having a coffee in a nice cafe, just these regular breaks of being and connecting with myself. And when there's a light overstimulation, I think I just look in ways to kind of clear a little bit of my either workload or daily to-dos. Just see what can I clear away from my schedule to create some space. I'm an introvert too, so for me it's really nice to create some solo time then. But of course that's different for everybody, but that really helps me. Yeah.
I love it. Love it. Well, thank you so much, Sabijn. It's been wonderful talking to you, all about intuition today and all the wonderful insights you've got to share with everyone. And I'll pop all of your links into the show notes where people can find you and find your beautiful course. Yeah. And thank you again.
Thanks a lot, Rose, and it was lovely to connect with you.
You too. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Sensitive CEO Show. If you enjoyed this episode, or if you think it would be useful to someone else, please leave me a review on sensitiveceo.show. Just follow the prompt in the menu. Each month, I'm offering one lucky reviewer a chance to win a 1-hour business and mindset audit with me. This in-depth audit covers the 5 pillars of your online business, and you'll walk away with super clear action steps specifically for you and your business. You'll be re-energized and motivated to step into your greatness. You'll also find all of the show notes for each episode on the website sensitiveceo.show. And while you're there, make sure you subscribe to the short and sweet newsletter. You'll get weekly recommendations and tips, especially for HSPs, empaths, and introverts. And as the name implies, the email is short and sweet. The Sensitive CEO Show, igniting your sensitive superpowers.